Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. We go from the sublime to the ridiculous here regarding the November 13th hearing that's going to happen on UFOs. We are now learning some very interesting news and for some very crazy reasons. Even though our hero, Nancy Mace, she has said these hearings are going to happen come hell or high water. Mike Ryan and some of those are trying to stop the hearings from happening. I suppose this is normal. We want disclosure. We want extra information. We want to be able to find out what is going on, and yet we keep electing the wrong people into power. I have said that in many of my videos. We can take the power back. They've got us convinced that we're not capable, that once they're in, they get to be in for 39 years like flippin' Mitch McConnell or the representative in Idaho, Mike Simpson, etc. That is not the intent of the United States government. We've got to come back to basic principles. We, the people, have to unite our voices. If 300 million of us can put this together and begin to pressure our government, there's great power in that. Now, for the bad news, Jim Lacatski, the former intelligence officer, has decided he's not going to testify because it's too dangerous. He's scared of what is going to happen to the witnesses. Now, this is getting ridiculous. I understand the hint is that Lou Elizondo is going to testify, and I've got another good piece of news from my other source of news that I like to gather, UAP Tuesdays with Christian Harloff. I will play this real quick. Let's see what he has to say. I'll just stay on the screen. Hold on. Let me just get this. Let's hear what he has to say. This is good news.
The thing that stood out to me the most last week was the fact that there were rumors. I don't know if you heard this. There were rumors that Mike Turner was trying to squash the hearing for November 13th. Yep. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that looked like that was going down, and I wasn't surprised at all. And then Jeremy Corbell was out there going, "No, we knew this was going to happen." But then Nancy Mace came out. She goes, well, "This is happening. Come hell or high water, it's happening." So then the question is, when are they going to announce it? Well, it looks like they did so, or close to it. And here's the first tweet. Now, this is from Joe Caleb over at News Nation. UAP hearing in the House Oversight Committee is officially set for November 13th. We reported that date weeks ago, but we were told that it wasn't 100% set. It now is. It'll be a joint hearing between two House Oversight Committees co-chaired by Representative Grothman and Representative Nancy Mace. Both have worked on the UAP UFO issue. The witness list is not locked in yet, but retired Navy Rear Admiral and former acting director of NOAA, Tim Gallaudet, says he's testifying. They get confirmation.
Okay, this is good news. This is the good news that I am saying. Gallaudet is really crisp. This is good. Now, who is James Lacatski? Why is it such a major blow that he has chosen out of fear, apparently, not to testify? I have another clip that I'm going to play for you. This is information that could be in this hearing were he to testify. And again, assuming this hearing is going to take place, it seems like there's a few people who are really determined to make it happen. If not, we need to rise up as a nation, assuming that we're serious about disclosure. I'm not calling for the warpath here. I'm not calling to rebel. No. Use our voice, use our democracy, use our power where it can make a difference. That 2019 debacle with that idiot young kid on Facebook. He said, hey, let's all get together and go storm Area 51. And million people responded. And they were going to go storm Area 51. The military caught wind of it. They they put the cannons and tanks and Air Force there. And talk about stupid. I mean, dumb is as dumb does. And he had to back off and say, no, that was a joke. I mean, the FBI came looking him up and they said, kid, you got to pull your head out. You're doing this wrong answer, man. And so he had to come out and say, well, I was just joking. It was a joke. Well, only about 100 people showed up. You don't win with mobocracy. We don't have the firepower to fight the military. Wake up. However, we do have the power. I believe in the people, but we need hundreds of millions to begin pressuring our government on this issue in legal ways, in the powerful ways, with our voices. We need to unite, and we need to insist on disclosure if that's what we're after. If not, do nothing. But don't sit here and complain on the comments on all of us YouTubers who are trying to share the information saying, oh yeah, the government's going to always hide it. They will if we, the people, don't unite. If we have that kind of a response that got the Navy and the Air Force and Army activated out at Area 51 in 2019 to stop the mob, if we had that kind of a response to start telling these people to have these hearings, what kind of changes could we make, right? Here's the very interesting thing on what James Lacatski has. This is in my opinion, this is not good that he's not testifying. Here's who James Lacatski is. Lacatski, sorry. Hold on. I've got to, let me stop the screen real quick. Yeah, let me not blow this. Share the screen and let's do this. Right there. Okay, that's the one I want. Okay, let's take a listen to this. It's just a minute and a half. This is very, very interesting. Many of you have probably heard this. It's worth a listen again. This is James Lacatski. This is what he knows.
Hold on. So for our audience that's listening, George just dropped an atom bomb because it was dropped in the book. So audience is just listening. I'm going to read you something. Beginning of chapter 9. At the conclusion of a 2011 meeting in the Capitol building with a U.S. senator and an agency undersecretary, Lacatski, the only one of the book's authors present, posed a question. But this is where it gets good. He stated, meaning you, Dr. Lacatski, that the United States was in possession of a craft of unknown origin and had successfully gained access to its interior. This craft had a streamlined configuration suitable for aerodynamic flight, but no intakes, exhaust, wings, or control surfaces. In fact, it appeared not to have an engine, fuel tanks, or fuel. Now, there's a next part, which I'll read in a minute, but what this is you're officially allowed to tell us that the United States government has in its possession a craft of unknown origin and you were able to access the inside. Is that correct?
The wording that you read is correct. You're going beyond the wording.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you, did that meeting happen? And is it true? And it's true.
Yes.
Okay, you're telling us, you told us because you were allowed to tell us that our government has a UFO in its possession and has been able to access the inside of it, right?
Yes.
Wow. And now that gentleman with that astonishing information has backed out of testifying in the congressional hearing because he's scared. What's causing this? This is the narrative that we have to change. This is the attitude that so many of us are working our butts off to get rid of in our country. Other countries don't have this attitude nearly as bad as we do. And it is holding us back from helping us as a collective, as a group of humanity, from making better decisions for our lives. That's why this is so important. We need to have the ability to improve our chance of making better decisions for our children and our grandchildren and ourselves. That comes with knowledge, with knowing, with understanding, with our psychological ability to process this information. Because let's face it, folks, that shit is wild. And yet there's the man saying, yes, that's right. This is the man that has decided it's too dangerous to testify at the hearings on November 13th. Now, as a nation, we need to be concerned of where that fear is coming from and how do we correct this. We correct this by amassing ourselves in a unity of 350 million people and saying, we've just about had it with your idiocy, to the government and the military through our voices and our voting. We need to begin speaking up, writing letters to our senators and our congressmen and our leaders, and voting in people, voting out the people who've been sitting on their dead asses for decades in Congress and the House and the Senate and doing nothing. That's not how this government was set up to be run. Why are we doing this to ourselves is the question. We can do better. We're hoping through sharing this kind of information and our response to this kind of information that perhaps we can help make a change for the better. I mean, 1 million people within just a week or two responded to that idiot on Facebook in 2019 to go storm Area 51. He got 1 million responses just like that. Let's go get those alien bodies. Now, the interesting thing is the immense military power that gathered at Area 51 to protect that area. What are they hiding? You know. So there's issues. We've got problems. We expect these. We understand the road ahead is not smooth. There's going to be bumps. There's going to be ditches to build bridges over. There's going to be complete roadblocks, etc. We understand that. But more and more, the data gathered, I know a lot of it is repeat data. I am so with you that I am sick to death of the same stories. I get that. But not everyone is aware of those stories. And we have no idea if we're going to get another David Grush, who just is one of those unaware, who can respond like David Grush has, or like Lou Elizondo, or like Chris Mellon, or like Gary Nolan, or like Diane Pasulka, or like the Backyard Professor, or like Richard Dolan, etc., or like Christian Karloff, several podcasters. How about Ross Coulthart? You know, if we just reach that one person that hasn't been reached, and he ignites or she ignites and goes forward into a very important position, and that particular person can rally 200 million people, then we are succeeding in our efforts, even though we have to repeat the history. We have to repeat the stories. Yeah, it's all talk. It's all blabber. I'm with you. I'm part of that blabber. And yet, it is important to continue adding to the enormity of the amounts. I shared a video last night that showed that there are, Richard Dolan has said he is of considerable belief that there are 50,000 sightings a year worldwide. And this number is huge compared to what it was 20 years ago. There is a change. Today is not like yesterday. Sometimes we have to move at a snail's pace. I get that. It's maddening. I get that. Believe me, we all want to go at the speed of light with this. But there has to be an order. There has to be, I'm not going to say patience because I hear you. Yeah, we've had 80 years of patience. I'm there. Yeah, you're right. I'm one of those saying that publicly. Yeah, we have had 80 years of patience. But what is the reason for the long delay? Is it not partly our responsibility because we've gotten slack as a nation? See, we're asking for action. We're asking for help. You want disclosure as bad as you're complaining about in the comments? Then let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Come on, let's do this, right? Hey, Trump was on Joe Rogan the other night. Now, he's not necessarily a believer in the aliens. He doesn't give me the impression that he's convinced them all, and yet he knows that the pilots who took those radar images and all, he knows they're credible. So this isn't just somebody coming out and saying, oh yeah, hey, I had this experience and I had that experience. No, this is the Top Gun pilot. This is the cream of the crop in the most sophisticated, superior piece of technology and warcraft in existence at the time who captured these videos. This is the real deal. You know, people scream, well, I want evidence. You've got it, you just don't accept it. That is absolutely phenomenal evidence. Lacatski just told you what he knows. And now somehow he's been fear-mongered into backing out. We need more power of persuasion. You can't win by force. It's stupid to try. But we can win through reason and compact, enormous, power-wielding people. Hundreds of millions. That can help instigate a change in the climate of this discussion. And it's exciting. It's unnerving. It's energizing. It's depressing. It's thrilling. This is the greatest thing that has ever potentially happened to humanity. And you and I are alive right now in the middle of perhaps the greatest revelation to grace our planet, other than that Jewish carpenter 2,000 years ago, for those of you who want to believe in that angle. That's how big this is. You Christians who really do believe in that carpenter, well, if you had that kind of desire and intense, real need for knowledge, which is what your carpenter teacher taught you to chase, then you would use your power to vote in people who help us acquire that knowledge, not who hold us back, right? And I'm not just picking on Christians. I'm not just advocating Christians. Jews, atheists, Mormons, Muslims, Buddhists, all over the world. Australians, Africans, Brazilians, Canadians, Americans, the people in Greenland, the people in the UK, all over the world. We need to advocate this. The Soviet Union, if they can quit being warmongers, and the Ukrainians, etc., all over the world. If we can unite, we can make a change for the positive. So thanks for listening to my BYP response. That's all I'm going to say tonight. I will return with more as I keep getting news. This November 13th hearings, I suspect, is going to occupy us for the next few weeks, rightly so, because the potential is so magnificent on both ends. The potential for complete disappointment, or the potential for, wow, here's our knowledge. Now, how do we begin moving forward and assessing this? That's what we're facing. This is huge, and we're a part of it. Let that sink in. We're a part of it. I'll see you guys soon. Get out of here.